where Cincinnati is that you didn't know?
Well, I mean, I do think that, like we said, it's not the best team that always wins the game. The team that plays the best. And to be honest with you, we could always say that, they were the best team. Size, speed, but in general, I'm not selling our guys short. But in that game, they played better than us too. And I think no matter what we will learn and what we did learn, it's not just about that size, that speed. It still comes down to playing well. And as I look back at it, deep down inside, we did not play as well as we could have. Now, obviously, they are a factor of that. But I think for all of us, we'll recognize in those big games, you've got to focus on just playing well and not be overwhelmed sometimes with, what you're and what it is that you're against and the size and the speed. And I know we experienced that the year before with Georgia and some of the other things, but I think in that stage it is a little bit different.
Coach, I was going to ask you about that Georgia-Alabama game, and again, a view from 10,000 feet. I know you said you just soon be in it, but having faced Georgia a year ago, very comparable Georgia team to this year, what are your thoughts on Monday night's game and what we might see?
Well, I bet anybody that's asked, I don't give predictions, but I think the first half will be a heavyweight fight. I don't think they'll be as exciting as maybe you guys would want it to see with bombs and touchdowns and things. I think it'll be a kind of a slugfest back and forth, and I think there'll be a lot of adjustments made at halftime. I think you'll see a different game in the second half a bit. They might open up a little bit more and see a little bit more of who can make the big plays to win the football game.
Is there an ideal number of playoff teams to you? I know some people say 8 or 12, and I guess the other part of that would be how many games is too many for a college football team?
I don't know how many games is too many. I don't know what that is. I think the way we practice now and things like that it isn't. You're not getting as much physicality even in camps. They're talking about new rules about, hey, you can only tackle for so much of time. Like, we don't even tackle for a quarter of the time that they allow you to tackle. So I think that you can continue to play. I think you can play some more games. I'm not saying that college football should be like the NFL and you're playing 17 or 18 games. But I think the select ones that continue to go can play another game or two. How many is the right number to be in the playoffs? I don't know that. I think that whatever it is, somebody else is going to want something different. It just comes down to me more about how many weeks, how does it fit in with, so to speak, a bowl season, and can you get it in, safely by, January 10th or whatever, the 7th of whatever, probably the drop dead date is.
Are there any of these proposals that, sound really good to you?
So when you ask questions about that, you ask questions about rule change, I'm not a guy that studies. I know that's bad. I mean, I want the game to continue to get better. I want our playoffs or whatever to continue to grow or to do. I spend an enormous amount of time on 125 guys in my. So when they ask me to, hey, you want to be on? We'd like you to have you on this board or this on this or that or this represent the coach. I'm like, no, thank you. I got 125 kids that I spend all my time. So the time studying what the proposals are, I might have a cliff notes of someone hand them to me because and I hope I don't change. Only in 5 years as a head coach, all of a sudden in the 8th or 10th year, if I'm still the head coach and there's more opportunities, I hope I don't change. And I say, look, if I only had 15 or 20 or 30 guys to worry about, then I would. But the way I like to do it is I'm involved as much as I can with 125 guys. So I don't spend a whole lot of time overdoing what's the scenarios, what's right. I spend a lot of time just focusing on kids.
Let me ask you a little bit differently then. See kind of the same school, same handful of schools are in the playoffs or winning championships. Is there anything that a playoff system is going to do that would truly open up?
Yeah, I think what they always ask is, well, you guys have broke the barrier. Look, we don't talk about that P word or those kinds of things. To me, there's about 8 to 10 teams as we look at the playoffs, not even that many, that have been consistently in the playoffs. Then there's everybody else. I put us in the category with everybody else. And sometimes I would say it might be a better chance for us to make a run and get to the playoffs than it is even somebody else that's, so to speak, not the top dogs in the SEC or the Big Ten, just for the sheer fact of, what you got to play week in and week out. So for those teams that aren't, the blue bloods to have an opportunity on a great season with a loss to still get into the playoffs. They can make a lot of damage. And if they're playing the best ball and they're the team that's going to play the best on that Saturday, they can win. And I think more than anything, us making the playoffs and doing what we did this year, I think shows that teams that maybe aren't just the blue bloods, when given the opportunity, playing their best ball at the end of the year, I would like to say can compete and have a chance. I know we didn't compete as much as we would like to have and maybe given the next step, but I think it opens the door for more than just people outside of the SEC and the Big Ten and ACC.
In 2019, you guys played Memphis back-to-back games. Having experienced that, do you see either Alabama or Georgia having an advantage playing the second time? And I won't bring up the fact that you guys lost both
No,
games.
I just think that great coaches. I think that, obviously Coach Saban. I don't know who has the advantage. I don't know that there is a true advantage. It's crazy because somebody might even text you and ask you, hey, what did you see about this from when you guys played? And I'm like, you guys study them every year during the off season. You played them 3 weeks ago.
Right.
Like, you're not seeing something new that you don't know about. So to me, us playing Memphis back to back is even far different than these two guys playing each other. There's nobody that knows each other better.
Right.
After year one, we studied Memphis in the offseason, so we had a different perspective of how we went to that game. I can assure you that both these teams in the offseason study each other very, very well. And so that's why I kind of believe that first half is going to be like a heavyweight fight. And it's just going to be slugs back and forth with maybe not a whole lot of what you guys might like to see. What I like to see, though, is good, tough, hard-nosed football. And then I think some adjustments and some things might open up in the second half. That's kind of what I believe. But I don't know that either one of them have an advantage.
I don't know if you've ever experienced with any of your teams, but a team like Georgia that has been in the lead 4 times against Alabama, has led the majority of games against Alabama, but hasn't beat Alabama. Can that seep into a mindset of a team if something goes wrong where it's almost like human nature? Oh no, here we go again.
It can, but I also think that Georgia might be that team with a little bit more of a chip on their shoulder too. Mm-hmm. So I think that it can be both ways, but that might be the advantage if it comes down to the wire. But if it comes down to the wire, I think the advantage goes to whoever's guy at the helm has got the best opportunity and who's got the coolest head and can make the plays.
You said you like to make predictions.
And I don't make predictions, so whoever can be the coolest and calmest down the stretch, if it's a slugfest like I would expect, might have a greater advantage.
Luke, what concerns do you have about the transfer portal? Excuse me if you've already answered it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it makes it. I'll just say it for the kid. I think it makes things too easy for the kids. I've always believed, and nobody asked me because I don't get into the groups and I don't throw my opinions out there because I just worry about my kids. But I wish that we would have made everybody have to sit out no matter what for 5 games when you transfer. Just there's always a consequence to everything that we should do. If we do something, there ought to be a consequence, and minimal consequence or not. Okay, coaches leave. Well, maybe they have to truly pay a buyout of some sort, so there's a consequence. But we want to be equal. I just don't like the fact that when things can get tough, kids can find an easier route, when in reality we're trying to teach them how to fight through things. Now, there's great opportunities for transfer, and there's some really good things possible about it. But I don't like the fact that we sometimes make it easier when things are tougher on kids.
Consequently, do you find yourself now having to re-recruit or
No.
consider that every year?
When the transfer portal opened up, I said it's going to be a good thing for us in our program. My coach was like, why? I said, because I think and I hope we continue to treat our kids the way they should be treated. We build relationships with our kids, so in the long run, the transfer portal could help us because we won't lose as many as other people. And as long as we don't change how we do things, about how we build relationships, how we continue to